Hi, and welcome to another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist. I am your host, Dennis Richkovsky. Some of you recognize me as the co-owner of Flip Flops Donuts, and some of you know me as your broker of real estate who specializes in waterfront and water view properties along the Crystal Coast, especially on boat banks and in my town of Emerald Isle, North Carolina. On this channel, you will find essential information from the inside scoops on buying and selling houses to how to live with the ocean, rivers, and sounds that define the Crystal Coast. Today's episode is all about the scarcity of properties in our local multiple listing service. Whether you visit here occasionally or live here full-time, knowing about the real estate inventory in Carteret County and along the Crystal Coast is a story worth telling. Before I begin, please subscribe to my video channel now or at the end of this episode. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn is a 1943 semi-autobiographical novel written by Betty Smith. The story focuses on an impoverished but aspirational adolescent girl and her family living in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York City, during the first 2 decades of the 20th century. So what does this book have to do with real estate in Carteret County, the Crystal Coast, or Emerald Isle for that matter? Well, in a 1947 Merry Melodies cartoon, Bugs Bunny is being chased by a pack of menacing dogs in the borough of Manhattan. In the climactic scene, Bugs is trapped in an alley, and he grabs a book to fend them off. Suddenly, the dogs all stop, turn, and run off. Bugs looks at the book title, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. The dogs presumably ran to urinate on the tree. That's how rare a tree was in Manhattan back then, and in Brooklyn for that matter. And that's about how rare a real estate listing is on the Crystal Coast right now. As I speak, there are under 3,800 listings in our local multiple listing service, or MLS. An MLS which goes east from I-95 to the coast and which goes south from Goldsboro to Wilmington. To put it all in perspective, not 3 years ago, our MLS had over 13,000 listings. That's a drop in inventory of over 70%. Compounding this catastrophic drop in inventory is the insatiable demand to purchase a home in Carteret and surrounding counties. A demand that cannot be met for 4 salient reasons. First, Carteret County is the 3rd largest county in North Carolina, with a total area of 1,341 square miles. However, 62% of this total area, or 834 square miles, is water. And much of the remaining 500 square miles is unsuitable for building, as it is classified as marshes, wetlands, or national protected areas, such as Croatan National Forest, Cedar Island National Wildlife Refuge, and Cape Lookout National Seashore. If ever Mark Twain's adage of buy land, they aren't making it anymore, applied to a community, it surely applies to Carteret County. Second, the population of Carteret County is under 70,000. That's a neighborhood in some large cities. And while the COVID-19 pandemic heightened external interest in Carteret County, a lot of that interest was from people looking for an escape route, i.e. a second home rather than an abandonment, that is, pulling up roots and relocating to Carteret County permanently. In other words, the internal or permanent population is not demanding accelerated development. Not at this time. Third, either way, there's not a lot of undeveloped land here in Carteret County. Take the town of Emerald Isle, for example. After purchasing the western half of Bogue Banks, the land that would become the town of Emerald Isle, McLean and friends divided it into 54 blocks, 1,100 feet wide each, running from sound to ocean. Of the thousands of raw land parcels initially created in Emerald Isle back in the 1950s, only about 300 remain undeveloped now in 2022. Inasmuch as Emerald Isle is one of the area's newest communities or towns in Carteret County, it will be the available land and not the available demand that ultimately drives development. And fourth, I've said this many times, when people grab a piece of paradise, they don't want to move or sell. And if people on the Crystal Coast didn't already know they owned a piece of paradise, the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020-21 certainly let them know loud and clear. To be sure, a lot can and does slip between the cup and the lip. Interstate 42 is coming. It's being constructed as I speak. When this limited access, high-speed road is complete, it will have a direct impact on Carteret County. If what happened in New Hanover County after Interstate 40 came to Wilmington, the population of Carteret County can expect to double in a relatively short period of time. And if history proves correct, there will be another house pricing correction down the road. And maybe after living in an urban setting all their lives, second homeowners decide that the solitude and quiet of Carteret County is not quite their cup of tea. It's not like we have a plethora of high-end restaurants to choose from. Hurricanes are a fact of life here in Carteret County as well. I can remember back in 1996 after Hurricanes Bertha and Fran devastated the Crystal Coast. There were hundreds upon hundreds of homes for sale in Emerald Isle that winter. Heck, my wife and family and I looked at over 60 oceanfront. That's right, over 60 oceanfront homes before deciding on the two that we did purchase. So what is a home buyer to do if they desire to live along the Crystal Coast? Of course, everyone's situation is different, but if you were my customer or my client, the first thing I would do is advise patience at this time. I don't recommend you chase that proverbial tree growing in Brooklyn or that one listing that just popped up in the MLS listings in Emerald Isle. There are other towns and communities. Today I am recommending that you look east of Beaufort to the down east communities such as Harker's Island, Betty, Otway, Sea Level, and Atlantic. I showed one client recently a 4-story home sitting on acreage with a boat slip and an elevator on Adams Creek recently. It also came with a forever view of the intracoastal waterway. That same house in Cedar Point would be doubled in price, and the bidding would be a feeding frenzy. Not the best way to purchase a home, in my opinion. As the year progresses, I'll have further thoughts on the real estate market in my area of specialty. That is Emerald Isle, Bogue Banks, and the Crystal Coast. In the meanwhile, to learn more about how you can find a permanent home here in Carteret County, subscribe to my newsletter by texting your email address to 919-308-2292 or sign up for my blog on my website, www.eihomesforsale.com, and subscribe to Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist on YouTube. Stay well and stay safe. So come on down. Please subscribe to my video channel below and definitely return next week to the same bat channel at the same bat time of 9 a.m. on Thursday for yet another episode of Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist.